Hey everybody. All right, I'm back. And I do not have any time to be joking around with y'all trying to make it seem like I'm all messed up or I'm all depressed or nothing like that, and then to come back all happy and stuff. No, we're just gonna start right off happy. So, um, what's been going on? Well, what hasn't been going on? Church is great. I'm loving being there every Sunday, and I have a new job at church. I am working with the I'm working with the team. Can you see my cursor? See that monitor right there? I do the computer that puts the messages up and stuff. So the pastor asked me to help out with that. So I've gladly taken up my duty in church, and I'm doing my best to keep up. When it's worship time, I put up the word worship. When it's tithes and offering, I put up a message that says tithes and offering. When it's time to read what our vision is, I put that up there too. So it's been very, very nice. I have not missed one Sunday. Unlike when I was a youth, when I was forced to go to church, I go to church because I want to be around um, God's people. I really do. And, to have an opportunity to witness to what God is still doing with me. So I am really, really enjoying church. I am grateful for everything, like I've been saying time. Um, I'm grateful that I owe my chiropractor more than $3,000. And I'm not paying it fast enough, but I'm trying. Um, when you run into a financial crisis or whatever, based on a car accident or whatever that I had several years ago, I'm glad to have a chiropractor's bill that I owe because all that means is that the doctor got me back in shape. So I don't have the same pains that I had. He put me back in a better position than I've been in probably in the last 20 years in terms of how my back and neck feels and everything. So I will continue to pay Porterfield Chiropractic in Valparaiso, Indiana. They work that good stuff. So yeah, I'm happy to have that bill that I have every intention on paying. So God has blessed me with uh, a healed back, neck, shoulders, and everything. So I'm grateful for that. Even my little credit card debt. I gone so long without having a credit card bill or whatever, but I had a situation where we had a timeshare that we inherited from my mom when she passed away, and it had some past due bills, and it was reaching its expiration in its lease, so they were supposed to sell it off, and then of course, then the owners are supposed to be able to get your initial investment back and whatever share of the profits that result from the sale. And for any of you who have been in the midst of a timeshare sale and realize that you can barely get the money back that you invested, let alone trying to talk about whatever profit you're about to share in or whatever, that can be an arduous process. So um, I took out a credit card and paid the past due bill with it, with the anticipation of my share of whatever the residual income rights were going to be that I pay off the bill. They've been running us around the barn for the last year. Yeah, it's been a year. We're waiting to get our payment, but it's going to be okay. I still have faith that it's going to um, give me just enough back or whatever to pay off this credit card. And if not, I learn a lesson. Um, and a lesson that I can teach you all. Do not go to a resort and buy the timeshare. You can get online and decide what week you want to travel and just go rent that week. Don't worry about the maintenance fees and all of that type of stuff. Don't worry about the fact that when you are just renting compared to when you own, they're going to treat you a little bit different. The amount of money that you save is worth them not giving you that little t-shirt with the special color that says I'm an owner and all like that. Don't even worry about that stuff. So learn a lesson from me. Do not buy a timeshare when you go on vacation. Uh, Pay someone for who somebody who owns one and they're tired of going to the same place 15 years straight. Give them some money for the weekly rental or whatever. Go down there, whether it's Cancun or wherever you're going to go, and enjoy that free breakfast that they're going to give you. They're going to give you a T-shirt, and they're going to give you drink tickets. They're going to give you a free breakfast and all of that stuff, and enjoy that food. Wear your T-shirt and just say no. Do not buy a timeshare when you're staying at the timeshare. You can do a whole lot better if you just feel like you have to go buy a timeshare. Go buy it on the secondary market. But anyway, that's my little do not buy a timeshare spiel thing. So, um, let's talk about the insurance. And that's actually going pretty good as well. I can't complain about that. I can't lie about it. So I still say that I'm in it to help people. Again, God has blessed me with a very good job, and I'll talk about that near the end of the update. But I've been blessed with a very good job where I am not relying on my commissions that I would potentially make from insurance sales because I'm not here to sell a product. I am here, I've been placed in this position, I believe, to help people. To help people not get in the situation that I'm in right now, being 58 years old and knowing that I cannot retire. Watching my other friends being able to retire and travel and do everything that their heart is content to do. God bless y'all. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. I've got one friend who just retired for the second time. He had 20 years in the Marines and then he just spent 20 years in the Chicago public school system. And everybody's been teasing him about, okay, well, it's time for you to start your third job so you can retire for the third time. He said, no, I'm going to relax. He went and got another job. So I'm really, really happy for him. I'm happy for all of you all who have spent your time, done what you needed to do to be able to retire and live a comfortable life. I hope you all stay active, be able to last during this retirement as long as you spent on your job. So, yeah, I'm happy for you all. So, I'm here to help people who can find a way to not be in the position that I'm in, to be in your late 50s, going into your 60s, and knowing that um, you have such an amount of monthly expenses that you can't find a way to retire within the next couple of years. And that's fine because, again, God has blessed me with my mind being in order, uh, the ability to do this job. And again, I'll have an update about the job. But anyway, about the insurance. So I've been helping people. I met this lady, and I think I told you all a little bit about this particular situation. I was at Starbucks and I was talking to Lionel Downer, Chip. I had just gone to his mother's funeral, probably no more than a couple of weeks before I saw him. I was in Starbucks working on a PowerPoint presentation, and he walks in, he speaks to me. We started talking, and we were talking about us caring for our moms, during their last days and everything. And, our situations were a little bit different. My mom's passing was um, a lot more sudden than I believe than his mother's. Um, so anyway, after we finished speaking, a lady overheard our conversation and we started talking. And she had just lost her mom, and I just recently found out she just lost her mom in March. So her mother was in her 90s and had an accident and passed away. So it wasn't expected. It wasn't like she had been lingering with this with an illness or whatever. So, but they're kind of God protects your mind when you lose anyone, but in particular, sometimes when you lose a parent, sometimes it's harder for you to watch your parent go through an illness for years and watch them suffer and everything, and you can kind of make peace with where they are. You can kind of work out your own inner feelings by helping or hopefully to be there to take care of them or whatever, and know that you did your best throughout the situation. And sometimes God has enough grace for you, provides you enough mercy that He will just take them just like that. And you don't have to watch the suffering. They don't suffer. So she was in that particular situation. Her mom died of an accident, and I understand she just could not kind of um, pull herself up to take care of everything that comes along with a loved one, especially your parent, and in particular your mother dying. So she just got to the point where she can deal with the financial situations and everything. She was having issues with her brother, who kind of wanted to be outside of the process with the other siblings. And it sounded like he didn't really want to adhere to what his mom's last wishes were. Her last wishes were to sell the house and distribute the money equally among the siblings. So I was talking to her and I told her, yeah, um, you do have to take care of the financial stuff, in spite of the fact where you may be emotionally and psychosocially and everything. So we talked, and I, kind of talked to her and counseled her to say, you definitely need to go down to the county, get the tax situation taken care of. The brother wanted to get the tax papers so he could be the one to show up and pay the taxes. And in his mind, he thought that, well, if I pay the taxes, it belongs to me, which I told her that's not the way that it goes. There's a will. You know what your mother's wishes were. And you need to go ahead and you be the one to pay the tax bill since she left you in charge of her financial affairs as dictated through the will. So she told me that she did go down to the county, to the assessor's office, which is where I told her she should start. And what she found out was that her mother was entitled to a discount or a rebate on the taxes because of her senior citizen status. So they gave her the rebate when she went to pay the taxes. And not only did they give her that rebate for that particular year, they went back and gave her a couple of years of the rebate. Whatever the limitations were, they honored that, and they gave her that rebate then. So that was probably at the very least a couple, $3,000, $4,000 saved and that can remain in her pocket. So that was beautiful. And that's just from she and I sitting down talking. Now, I wasn't trying to sell her a policy. I wasn't trying to use her circumstance to ingratiate my way into her situation, but I knew what it was like to have to deal with death. After my mother died, I had a folder where I had my grandfather's death certificate, my grandmother's death certificate, and my mother's death certificate. And I'm at a bank trying to show them my brother is the executor of my mother's estate. My grandmother just passed away several months ago. She had her name on the safe deposit box that my grandfather left in her name. So I know what it's like to be running around with three death certificates of the three people who you love the most on this earth. And I didn't want her to, have to continue to go through not having the wherewithal to just kind of start the process. So she did. So after she filed the taxes or whatever, we spoke and she said, well, she's looking for a lawyer. And lawyers, they wanted her to pay as much as $6,000 to take care of an estate that really only involved one house, a couple of bank accounts, four surviving siblings, and a will. So I said, there's no way that you should have to pay $5,000. I said, you need to go down to the county and you can start maybe at the clerk's office and determine what do you need to do to get the will filed. And I offered, I said, I work right across the street from the county building. Why don't you give me a day's notice or whatever? If you're going to come downtown, you can park right across the street. Call me when you parked your car and you're about to go in, and I'll run upstairs with you. And I did. She called and I did. I ran upstairs with her and we got the will file. She got several copies of it. She has multiple copies of the death certificate, which she'll probably need, the official copies, not just photocopies and everything. And I walked her back to her car and everything just to be helpful. She reminded me of my mom. And I didn't want her to have to deal with the same struggle and the weight and the burden that comes with, as you're trying to grieve, you still have business to take care of. So I just wanted to read you all what the message was from her. I think it was a very poignant and beautiful message. So the day when I helped her at the county building, she said, as I always told my father, no matter what you believe, they will always send an angel. Thank you so much. That's nothing but God that put me at the Starbucks on that particular day when we met. She happened to overhear a conversation with me and a long-term friend, Chip Lionel Downey, who's still in my prayers, brother. And I didn't introduce myself to talk to her about insurance. Matter of fact, she was cold in Starbucks and I offered her my sport coat and she was like, "Oh, that's so nice," or whatever. That's how we met. So, like I said, I want to be here to help people. And that's just one example. And she did show up to the workshop in early August. It was a beautiful workshop. We had space for 40 people. We wound up having 42 people who said they were going to come. And I want to say about 34 people showed up, and we had 20 people on Zoom. One guy said to the owner of the company, this is a quote, "You changed my life in 2 hours." Um, of the 12 people that I invited, 10 showed up. Um, eight showed up in person, two showed up on Zoom. Of the eight people who showed up, there were six people who set an appointment, and of the six, four of them want to become agents. One person is already a licensed agent in the state of Illinois, but she wants to come on with the Derek Campbell Agency. See, oops, where is it? Right, where's my hand? Right here, the Derek Campbell Agency. So they, she wants to. She's one of the people who wants to come on board, and other people want to know more about what they can do to help plan their retirement and everything. So, I don't have that same strategy, let's say, of, well, let me look through my phone and call everybody I know and let them know what I'm doing or whatever. And all they can do is say no, and you got to get through um, uh, uh, 95 no's to get to the five yeses. I'm not doing that like that. So I wind up talking to people who I happen to run across or whatever. People who seem receptive. And there was another lady that I ran into, and I invited her to the workshop, and she was gonna be coming and everything, but she couldn't make it. So when I saw her the next week, I was walking through the building where she works, and and when she saw me coming up, she was like, "I'm so sorry. I you know, thank you for uh, doing the registration for me and everything. I had every intention on coming, and my sister got sick 2 days before, and I had to move her in with me. So now I'm taking care of her. And I was thinking to myself, and I didn't say it to her, but I was thinking to myself, that's exactly what we have discussions about. Though that's one of our parts of our workshop. What happens when you happen to need long-term care? We have products where you can pay monthly, and if you happen to need long-term care, there are ways where you don't have to show them a receipt that I spent this much money for this, that, and the other, present it to them, and then for them to say, we're not going to cover that, we're not going to cover that, we're not going to cover that, we will cover this, we'll cover this, we'll cover this, not that, not that. They will, with the right policy, just pay you a set sum of money, and that can help for you to pay somebody to come in. That can help to supplement your income when you have to take off and use time off. That helps to supplement the things that you may need to buy when you're trying to take care of somebody in care, whether it's short-term care or long-term care. When my mom got sick, I'm going back to my mother's situation. When my mom got sick and they had her in physical rehab when she was not capable of doing the routine that physical rehab requires. She couldn't walk anymore. So because she was still in a physical rehab mode, I had to go out and buy a hospital bed. I found a bed that was barely used. I put it on the top of my 2003 Toyota Solaris, strapped it down, and rode on the freeway with an adjustable hospital bed. I had to buy clothing. I was in between jobs. I had just lost my job, and that's a whole nother testimony about being out of work and then having to take care of your grandma until she dies. And then your mother dies 3, 4 months later. My father died in between that. So there are policies that you can pay into and help to offset some of those long-term care costs. So I was talking to her and she was apologizing profusely. I said, you have no reason to apologize. Life happens, things happen. It's good that you're in a position where you have the wherewithal and the ability to take care of your sister. I said, first question that I always have about when somebody's helping take care of somebody, how's your appetite? Are you maintaining, your appetite? Are you able to sleep at night? And she said her sister's having problems sleeping, and because of that, she's having problems sleeping, and she still has to kind of go to work, and she's trying to work out between, other caretakers when they can come in and everything. And I said, so, um, have you ever thought about using melatonin or some type of tea that helps her sleep, like a chamomile or a valerian root tea? And I just talked to her about that. I didn't talk to her about the policy. I talked to her about what she can do to be able to get some sleep at night. And I told her about the valerian root and I told her about the melatonin. So instead of just telling her, I happen to have an extra bottle of melatonin because at Walgreens they had buy one, get one free. And I had this bottle that's still unopened and everything. So I texted her and I said, I'm gonna come by and see you tomorrow. Because that particular day I wasn't work. We don't work on Fridays. So I came downtown on Friday specifically to bring her a bottle of melatonin. She wasn't where I usually see her at, so they called her on the walkie-talkie and she came by and I gave her the melatonin. And I said, you should try this on your sister first and see if it'll help her sleep. And then if she can get some sleep, then you should try it too so you can get some sleep. But you need to make sure that you're alert enough just in case it really doesn't work for her, and you definitely want to stick to the dosing. So I left it at that. So I hope everything is working out for you, whatever, and don't worry about not making that workshop. We have 4 workshops a year, every 3 months, and we have monthly workshops that we do on Zoom. So don't even worry about it. So I get this text message from her about 3 days later. She said, good evening, George. I just wanted to take a few minutes to say thank you so much for those pills. They have really helped and made a difference. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. She has been getting some good sleep since she started taking them, and that's a wonderful thing. Thank you very much. A part of helping people, you know? So I'm grateful that I've been put into a position where I can run into people. And even though it doesn't have anything to do with insurance or whatever, God has given me something that I can give to somebody else to make their life a little bit better. So that's a great thing. And I met a person, I met a lady and a man today in Starbucks when I was again putting together a PowerPoint presentation. And the guy looks at me and he kind of tilts his glasses down and he says, "You look like a salesman." I said, "Well, kind of." I said, "I'm an accountant by training. I work as a financial compliance monitor, but I did just recently pass my life insurance test to get my state license. And I passed my accident and health, and I'm studying for my property and casualty." And he said, "Well, I was a salesman too. I worked for Xerox." And the lady sitting next to me said, she leaned back and she was like, and I'm looking at her, and he reminds me of my mom, and I instantly say to myself, that man has dementia. So I'm talking to both of them. And the lady's trying to kind of get me to not engage with them because some of the things that he's saying is not all there. I'm not sure if he used to work for Xerox or if he even was a salesman, but in his mind, he was a salesman and he worked for Xerox. So that's what we talked about, being a salesman for Xerox. And then he told me about how he likes to swim and how he knows JB Pritzker personally. And JB Pritzker owns the Hilton hotels down the street and stuff. And he saw JB Pritzker on the TV and he was like, "Oh, JB, what's going on, man?" And I'm just taking it all in and I'm flowing right with his conversation. And then I asked the lady, I said, "So where do you all like to swim?" She says, "Well, he swims at the Matson Rec Center." I was like, "Oh, my brother-in-law goes to the Matson Rec Center at least twice a week sometimes or whatever." That's very good exercise. And we got to talking about exercise. I said, "I need to stop procrastinating. I need to go and find some place where I can go swim because I need to get back in shape and stuff." And I told him how I like to ride my bike and stuff. And the furthest out the road was up to Evanston. He said, "Evanston? I live in Evanston." And I look at the lady and she goes, I said, "Hmm, I haven't ridden up to Evanston in a long time, but it's a beautiful community or whatever. And I've always enjoyed when I go to Evanston and stuff." And he kept talking about Evanston. Now, I don't know. And it seems like from the lady's reaction that he doesn't live in Evanston. And that's fine because I realize that when people have dementia, their truth is their truth. You need not bring conflict to them. I'm a stranger to him. As far as I'm concerned, he knows JB Pritzker. JB Pritzker owns those three Hilton hotels down the street. He lives in Evanston and he was a salesman for Xerox. It's all good with me. And I sat there and talked to that man and to his wife for probably 15 minutes. And I remembered what it was like with my mother. They'll ask you questions 4 times within 5 minutes. And you should never say, "You just asked me that. I just told you that." You answer that question 4 times, 5 times, however many times they go back to it, you just, with patience, you respond. So when the lady had her appointment to go to the telephone store next door, the guy got up first and he was talking to another gentleman who's sitting there. It seems like the guy probably knows both of them. They've met before, whatever. And I had a chance to tell the lady, I said, "He has dementia?" She said, "Yeah, he does." She said, "Half of the stuff he just told you is not true." I said, that's okay. I said, "That's okay." I said, "He has his own truth right now. And one of the better things you can do is just be as patient with him as you can." She says, "I know, I try. But he can be so mean." I said, that may not be the real him. and it's okay. You still have to find your patients or whatever. So it was nice being able to talk to somebody and to see what this man is going through. And it was kind of like it was almost therapeutic for me, because I remember a couple of times I lost my patient with my mom, and I wish I hadn't, but I was going through my own stresses too. So I had a chance to talk to her, and that was great. Um, so how's the job going? Fantastic. It's going great. So I uh I called myself was gonna talk myself into a job. So my unit, the fiscal monitoring unit, we got shifted from the finance fiscal department to more of what was formerly like a program related department. And I told everybody it's no big stressor to me. Um, we have the opportunity to work under a person who needs to know what we do, how we do, why we do, and when we do. And we can attempt to bring her our best practices or our best suggestions and recommendations. And hopefully she'll have enough trust in us that we all want the same thing, which is a good outcome for the people out there who are looking for jobs that our money pays for. So I felt it was necessary to talk to the CEO probably more than a month and a half ago. And I said, it might be a good idea to um, have someone who's kind of a go-between from the new supervisor who used to work on the program side and the fiscal monitoring unit, you know. And of course, I'm there to talk about me in this instance. For too long, I've always just kind of played in the background and um, helped my supervisors acclimate themselves to what they can do to make their job easy and do it better and everything. Having to informally offer suggestions, have people call me to ask what they should do, never get credit for uh, being a go-to person or having minimal time where I'm managing a project or whatever, but it doesn't translate to my resume. So I decided, in spite of being in a staff level position, that I'm gonna try to make my job better. I don't know how long I'm gonna be here, but I want to put some things in place that when somebody's here in 10 years or 15 years, they can adhere to the processes that I helped to put in place to make our job more efficient, effective, and so that we can monitor all of these tens of millions of dollars in funds that we have to monitor. So I get an email when I'm out in the field last week. I said, "Hey team, please look at the career section in ADP. There are 6 new positions available." And, I didn't really pay too much heed to it. And after about an hour and a half after I'd been working or whatever, I just decided to look. And it said finance monitor manager. And I looked at the requirements. I looked at the first few. And it's what I've been trying to do: collaborate with other units, put different processes and tools in place so that the agencies could be monitored more effectively, monitored when needed, propose recommendations for improvement, and all of that type of stuff. So I kind of I shut it down. I was like, okay, this is too good to be true. And I went back to work because I had so much work to do or whatever. And I said, I'm not gonna go through this application process on company time. I'll wait till I get home. And I got to thinking about it, and I said, the only thing that would stand in my way at this point is that if this job required that you have 7 years experience managing people, you had to be a supervisor, this, that, and other. And I said, you know what? I don't care. Even if they say I do, I have to talk my way into the job because this job is tailor made for who I am, for what I've been trying to do, what I wanted to do in the past, and what I'd like to do in the future. And I looked at that entire job description when I got home, and it never said that you need management experience and you have to supervise more than three people, nothing like that. So I was like, this is for me. I filled out that job application so quick, and I am claiming it. I really am. This would be perfect for me to be able to get into a position where I can collaborate with more people at the agency, uh, implement some of the things or discuss with people what I would like to do and what I've started to do. Um, so I'm waiting to hear. Um, I think I think I have a good shot. Um, I think God knew exactly what he was doing when all of these things started lining up. And I'm not even going to look for the negative and say, well, if you don't get it, you're still in a good position, which is true. But this is one of these things that I am stepping out on faith on, just like my grandmother and grandfather and my mother used to, but especially my grandmother, you know. Um, the faith that she had was unbelievably astounding and has made such a difference in hundreds, if not thousands, of people's lives. Um, so I want to exercise some of that faith that she had, that my grandfather had. Um, the faith to jump on a freight train and come up from Mound Bayou, Mississippi, and find a way in this hectic Chicago environment to be able to meet a woman, have a family, get a stable job, um, with his sixth and seventh grade education to be able to provide for his family and friends, extended family, church members. Here's a man with a sixth or seventh grade education that paid for his daughter's college education, most of my college education, helped my brother with part of his college education, and my cousin Tina with some of her college education. I want that same faith, and I want it to manifest, and I want it to be seen by all of those who can hear about what my situation continues to do. And it really doesn't have much to do with me. It really does. I don't have any control over all of these great things that's happening, um, to me. I'm still sober. Um, I feel good. Um, God is just so good to me, better than I can even ask for. So this is something that I'm claiming. It's going to be documented, and it'll be a testimony for His glory. So um, that's my update. I got nothing bad to nothing bad to say, or nothing to complain about. Still, see, my cheekbones are still high. They, you know, you know. So anyway, um, that's it. Take good care of yourselves. Take good care of each other. And I shall talk soon. Bye.